This is my brand new MRX, Atomic MRX Master Edition. I picked it up a couple of days ago. And it took 4.5 hours for the car to look like that. Really, it's not, 4.5 hours is not bad. It's actually pretty good. I didn't need to do a lot of fine tuning to the car. Usually, it takes me about 6 hours to fine tune the car. This one is like 4.5. I haven't actually tried this car on the track. I have driven my friend's car, Roger's car, few times, which is an MRX Master Edition with the battery forward and the more traditional layout. So I know what it feels like. But even if I didn't drive the car, I have an idea on how the car would feel, and it's actually exactly what I felt when I drove the car. I know how the front end feels because I had that DWS in the MRX Gen 1, but with this new rear end, I kind of have an idea on how this car would feel, and it's exactly what I thought it's going to feel. So now that I know how that feels, when I put this car together, my focus is just to put the car together, and when I'm done, think about working on the rear end of the car. In this video, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We'll also talk about what I like about the car and what I don't like about the car, and a suggestions about the car. What I like about the car is the quality. I think Atomic has the best quality of all of them, all of the 28 scale. I do feel that, you know, I've built quite a few of the cars. GL is also good, but I think the best one is Atomic. It's just, when you're putting it together, it's just quality, you know. The parts. I mean, look at this chassis. And even the printout right there. It's clean. It's clean. The car is clean. And I think in my initial video of the Gen 1 MRX, I did suggest that it would be better if the parts are black as opposed to gold. I never really liked the gold. And now it's all black. It's nice. There's a nice touch to it. Black and silver. I really like it. And I like the quality. The manual is very easy to follow. When you read the manual, it's going to tell you to have the battery in the forward position. The battery layout would be like this. Yeah, you can try that, but skip that. Just go with the more traditional. I'll explain later why. And they also have this layout towards the bottom of the manual, so just scroll down. And when I put the car together, I only did one fine tuning, and that's the 4 ball studs here, 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 and here. It was tight, like it was really tight. When I put these on, before I polish the ball studs, when you lift up the upper arm, let me see if I can show that. When you lift the upper arm without the shock installed, it won't even go down. When I let go, it won't go down. But now look, it's going down on its own weight. Okay? And these two countersunk screws are tight. They are tight compared to my original MRX Gen 1. So this is tight. It used before, when I would tighten it, it would bind. But now it's not binding at all. So I'm not sure if they did something to that. But yeah, it's loose on both sides, okay? I didn't mount that just to show. And I like that. So remember to polish. Well, I mean, try yours first, but mine was really tight. These ball studs and these ball studs. I think it's $349 with the aluminum knuckles. And it comes with gear diff, although I'm not using the gear diff. So it's not $500, you know, like how much I spent on my Gen 1 MRX and the DWS. It was like $490 or something like that. It got expensive compared to this car, $350 with aluminum knuckles in the front. And also, you know, it comes with the gear diff. I have tried the gear diff and it is good. It's really quiet. I like it. but I don't like gear diff. That's not what I like to use on my cars, so I don't have it here. I'm running Kyosho ball diff. But for the price, it's about the average, so the pricing is good compared to the first gen MRX. Easy to adjust turnbuckles. There's 4 holes now, or is it? Oh no, yeah, yeah. So those two, 1, 2. So it's easier to adjust. Unlike before, you have to find the holes. Now every time you turn, there's holes available for you to turn. So that's easy, and it's also out in the open. Unlike other cars, they're hiding down there, so it's hard to reach. This one is easy, so I like that. And also the camber, to adjust the camber, it's easy. It's right there. It's easy to adjust it. Although the max is 2 degrees of camber, right now I have it at 1.5. And you have the option to use the stock configuration, side damper, horizontal springs, or the vertical, which is what I have right now on this car. So you have 2 options, but the vertical you have to buy. I forgot the price. I'll post it in the description, but this is an optional part. I'll talk why I went with the vertical later. As I mentioned earlier, it's nice because you have the option to run the battery in a forward position or the more traditional layout, like what I have. And all cars don't have that option. At least this one has that option. And then here you have plenty of room to put the electronics and route the cables. You can't see it, but I have the servo wires in there, the transponder wires all tucked in down there. I got plenty of room. That's the speed control, and this speed control is not even small. It's a pretty big size. And this is the servo, and look at the room in there. I have at least like 7 millimeters of room, and then that like an inch. So that's where I put the cable inside there. You can't even see it. Plenty of room. There's room here to put weight. I mean, I'm not gonna put weight, but I'm just saying, there's room there. There's room here still because I'm using this battery. There's plenty of room in the front. So I like that. Let's talk about what I don't like. I feel the same with the other MRX. I don't know why the front end is so wide. It is extremely wide. I don't know what is the purpose of that. And I think the GL also has wide front end, very wide front end. And I really don't know why have such a wide front end. I mean, if this is your driving style, it's fine, but we should have an option to have a little bit narrower front end, for drivers like me. I like the car to have chassis roll, and I want the front end a little bit narrow to have that option. This one, the front end is so wide, so the car, when you turn, it just turns. When the car turns, it just turns. I can't almost feel the car that it's leaning and then turning. It doesn't do that. It just snaps into the turn, and I don't really like that feel. And I really don't know why it's wide. Maybe it's good for their layout or their track or wherever it is that they're testing this car, but yeah, it should just have an option to run wide or narrow by changing the upper arms and the lower arms, just a little bit. It's wide. So that's what I don't like. And when you buy the kit, it doesn't come with the V2 axles. So you have to run the stock axle, and you can't run 0 offset. To run the stock axle, which is what I'm running right now, you have to run the -1 offset that came with the kit. But I don't want to run 20 millimeter front wheels. I want to run 19. This is just temporary to show in the video. That's why I have these wheels on here. But today I'm getting the V2 axle delivered today, and I'm gonna change the front wheels to 19 with the V2 axles, and the wheel set I'll have here is gonna be 0.5 in the front or 0. I don't know if I have 0 offset, but I'll 0 19. I'm not sure. I think I only have 0.5 19 millimeter offset. But yeah, that's what I don't like. You have to buy the V2 axles. So with the stock axle, everything is just wide in the front. And another third thing I don't like about the car is that every time you buy this DWS, that shock, you have to drill a hole through that vent holes because it's something, the plastic flash is blocking it. Be aggressive on that thing because the plastic buildup on there is pretty thick. Okay, so just poke through it and then spin it. What I did was I used the blade, poked it through, and then like drilled it. I was trying to be gentle in the beginning, but then it won't come off. So it was yeah, so I didn't like that I have to do that. For drivers that are not, that don't know, they're new to this, to RC, or new to the kit, you'll just put it together and you'll never know why your car's acting funny. But that's because the front end, the holes are blocked. Okay, so your suspension is practically not working. So especially when you put grease. So that could be an issue to other people. And then guys like me would try to help the driver, not knowing online, not knowing that, oh, you never, poke a hole through that vent. So that becomes a problem. Fourth thing is the side dampers is not very easy to service because you have to remove the screws. Here, it's hard to remove that. So you can forget that part. You have to remove it here. And then now the body clip will fall down. And then for you to be able to remove that. And then cleaning it, the shaft, in while it's on the car, and then putting it together. You now have to use 2 screws or hold it here. Yeah, it's not something I've experienced with the other car. So that one is quite time consuming. It's not very efficient. And when you have a horizontal shock, it's hard to turn the collar to adjust the spring. Oh my gosh, I couldn't fit my finger. So I now have to remove the battery to adjust it. So now when I'm checking for the ride height, I have to put the battery on, check the ride height. If it's off, remove the battery, adjust the spring collar, put the battery back on. It's very time consuming as opposed to just have the battery on there and then spinning it, right? And then check it. You know what I mean? Sorry, not the ride height, but the tweak, not the ride height. The tweak of the car, okay? So that I didn't like, and that's the reason why I went with vertical springs, because with the vertical springs, I don't need to reach in there. Instead, I can just use a hex to turn that hex screw to adjust for tweak, okay? That's why I went with vertical springs, not because it performs better, I don't know, but because of it's just more convenient for me. The overall weight of the car with the body, the battery, race ready is 170 grams, 170.7 grams. If I add 5 grams of weight, which I think I will need to do, then I'll be at 175. That's pretty heavy. I'd like to start the car at 160 and then add weight. You know what I mean? Right now it's 170 and then I have to add weight. So it'll be like 175 as opposed to 165, right? Or 170, start with 165 and then add 5 grams of weight, then 170. Why adding weight? Okay, here's the next one. The battery and weight position. If you compare this car to another car, I'm not going to bring another car here, okay? I'm just going to tell you to do it yourself. Go put your other car here, whatever it is. Pay attention to where the battery is positioned. In the battery with your other car is closer to the rear shaft than it is with the MRX, okay? With this setup, the weight is almost in the middle of the car. There is no weight in the back. When I drove the MRX ME locally, doesn't matter the position of the battery, the back end just felt loose. It felt very light, okay? But I knew that, when I saw the picture of this car, I knew that that's going to be, for me, it's going to be a little bit of a problem to drive because there's no weight in the back. And this thing right here is not really helping. There's really no weight back there and no option to add weight here. Okay, with the other cars, the battery is 5 mm closer to the diff shaft, to the rear wheel. And you have the option to move it 3 mm closer or move it forward 3 mm with this battery, okay? With this one, no, that's max, right? So this is the more traditional. This is the battery position from the other cars. And look at the difference. And this is the heaviest part of the car. This is like 16 grams. If you have a bigger battery, it's going to be like 19 to 20 something grams. This is the heaviest part of the car. And you can shift the weight around, right? Well, with this, one, you don't want to add any more weight because it's already heavy at 170 grams. Two, the position of the battery is in the front. So if you want to add weight, you don't add it under the battery. Instead, you got to find weight somewhere here in between the shaft, the motor, sorry, in between the motor and the battery. Okay? The other cars, the battery is positioned here. Okay, so I can add weight under the battery or move the weight forward or move the weight in the back. Okay? This one, the battery is in the middle. Even worse when the battery is here. There is no weight in the back. And you can feel this on the track. Unless your track has super high traction, then this is probably something that's gonna benefit you because the car is going to transition super quick. Okay? But I don't know if this track actually exists. The traction we have locally, it's somewhere during winter, it's low traction. During spring and summer, it's mid to high, but never high and ultra high traction. It's not like that. It's just high and that's it. So right now with our track condition right now, I would say it's medium. Even with that, the back end still feels very light. That's what I don't like. And then the side dampers, it's so flat. When you look at it, it's flat. If you look at it this way, the shock position, it's like this. And I'd like to have the option to change the angle of the side dampers so that I can have more chassis roll in the back. Because right now with that position like that, the back end of this car is flat. It would just, instead of turning like this, it would just do this. You know what I mean? And when I drove the Master, it felt like that. It's exactly like how I know it's going to feel. It just turns like this, But the front felt different and the back felt different, But anyway, so it would be nice to have that option to change the angle of the shock. Okay, just because the car is low center of gravity, it doesn't mean it's better, okay? It doesn't always mean it's better. Maybe in a different scale, maybe in the real car racing, but in Mini Z, it doesn't always say that it's a better car. At least not for me. I just never, with everything so low, the car doesn't have this roll. It just turns super twitchy to drive. There are other cars out there where you can set up the car as low with the damper position as flat as possible. Man, it's extremely hard to drive for me, okay? I can't smooth out the corners. It's almost like the kind of car you want to drive when you're setting a fast lap, and that's it. It just has that one line to do fast lap, and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't want that. I want my car to reach the fast lap, but be a tenth off driving it smoothly and consistently. You know what I mean? Well, with this setup, how the car feels, flat, it's only good for setting a fast lap, and that's it. Only one line. If you change your line, it's almost like it's gonna be hard to recover from it. That's how that's just how I feel about the car feeling pretty flat. So yeah, I don't like that it doesn't have the option to change the angle. You can't even shim it to change the angle of the side dampers. And I don't like that you have to use those little tiny screws. They're everywhere. So if you're planning on buying this, better make sure you have this tool, 1.27 millimeter. If not 1.27 millimeter, get the MIP 0.5. Okay. The cheap ones like this model, you can get the 1.3. It fits. I think it fits. Yeah, it fits because it's the measurement is off. 1.3 Amazon brand fits and it works. 1.3, okay, but the actual size is 1.27. And it doesn't come with the front bumper. When you buy this, you're gonna need to buy a front bumper and the post for the Lexan body in the back. It doesn't come with it. You have to buy that, okay? So that's what I don't like about the car. Now, for suggestion, optional plate to change the side dampers angle. That is to have a plate here. For example, you have the plate you put in there, and you can mount this somewhere here so that you can change the angle. There's plenty of room. It's easy. You can 3D print it, but just make this higher or something. Have the option to change the angle. Right now it's flat, man. It just, yeah, it makes the rear end feels very twitchy. And then the option to add weight in between the battery and the motor, somewhere around here, maybe even down here. You know, you add weight here or there. But I'm making one. Yeah, I know I'm making one. I know I'm making one on a brand new car. I haven't even put this car on the track, but I already know it's not going to fit my driving style. So I'm making one to fit somewhere in between. I already know where I'm going to put it. I'll talk. Maybe I'll show later on. And yeah, maybe change the brass chassis to steel. That's 5 grams lighter. Now you can have the 5 grams added somewhere in between here, between the battery and the motor. This vertical springs, if only we can have a longer screw, because right now if I push it all the way down, I'm going to lose that hex right there. It's gonna fall out. Also, I think it should have had insert in there, so now I'm not threading through the carbon fiber. It should have been aluminum to aluminum with maybe an O-ring or just Loctite. The green Loctite, not the blue one, this one. So you can still adjust it. Or the entire carbon fiber, just change it to aluminum. And yeah, like I mentioned earlier, maybe just have an optional parts to make the upper and lower arms narrow a little bit. Just have that option to make it narrower, because it's way too wide. Even if you put the V2 axle, it's still wide. I guess the next part of this video is going to be the car on the track, and maybe I'll talk about what I like about the car on the track and what I don't like about it, and how the car feels and what I did to the car. I guess that's what's going to be on the second video. Okay, thanks.